So your vocabulary level is pretty good. Even your reading level is pretty good. But when it comes to listening, when it comes to speaking, you just feel like there's a huge gap between these two levels. And the reason is because you learn reading and you develop your vocabulary level in your comfort zone. For your speaking and your listening, you don't put enough stress on yourself. You don't step out of your comfort zone to really fast track and skyrocket your progress in these aspects so that you can start learning faster in a more natural way and in a more effective way. So in this video, I'm going to tell you which techniques and which methods I really think are so valuable in helping you to fast track your English learning progress. I use these techniques myself, and I really would recommend that you start using them yourself. So the first technique that I really want to introduce you to is video participation. So video participation means that when you are watching a video and you are watching it, and you can use subtitles or without subtitles. I'm going to explain to you the progressions in a second. But after a period of time, let's say 2 minutes, for example, you stop the video and then you have to participate actively in this video. So almost pretend like you are in it. You know, you are in the video. You are one of the participants. Whether it's a podcast, you are a guest. Whether it's in the movie, you are a character, okay? And what you want to do when you pause that video is you want to either ask a question, or you want to respond with a comment, or give your point of view or your opinion, or disagree or agree. The idea behind this is that you're simulating a real conversation in English that you may be having. It needs to be spontaneous. You're not prepared. It's unscripted. You're having to listen really closely to try and capture the main points in this video, or whether it's the TV series. I would actually recommend using a podcast myself, but you can use it with anything. And you really need to pay attention. So it's stressing your listening skills when you're doing that, because by having to pay attention, knowing that you're going to have to participate at the 2 minute mark, you're feeling a little bit stressed. You know you have to speak. So it's really putting stress on the muscles in your brain and on those neuromuscular connections that are really going to help you to start progressing your listening ability and start developing your speaking skills. So at that 2 minute mark, you should be capturing in the first 2 minutes some key points, trying to capture, just any bit of information you can. The harder the video, the harder this is going to be. If you're really struggling, I would say increase it to 3 minutes or 4 minutes or 5 minutes for when you participate in that video. If you're still struggling, then you're going to have to change the video. It's too hard. You should be retaining some information within 2 minutes of listening to a video, okay? Especially if you're doing it with subtitles. However, for the rest of this video, I'm going to recommend that you only use it without subtitles. This is an intermediate to advanced level technique, and I think you should only be implementing this when you are already comfortable understanding your target language with subtitles. When you can understand over 70% with subtitles for most of the videos that you watch, unless it's like a very specific topic, it's very hard, and then you feel like you don't follow everything, that's okay. But in general, if you feel like you can understand over 70% of what's being said with subtitles, it's time for you to remove them. I know you love them. I know they are your lifeblood and you feel really comfortable when you have them on, but you are not going to progress as a language learner if you are always staying in your comfort zone, okay? Do you really want to wait 2 years, 3 years and feel like you are still in the same place because you've just been doing the same exercises again and again? No, you need to push yourself. You need to finally start to feel some stress. You need to start feeling uncomfortable in the language. You don't learn a second language in your comfort zone. You know this deep down, but you've been trying to avoid it. You're pushing yourself in many ways, but this is a way to push yourself at home, just with your own exercises where you feel a little bit of stress, but it's really going to pay dividends and it's going to really help you in the long term, okay? So start using active participation as one of your main listening methods, and I would recommend at least for 10 minutes to start with, and then as you get better, maybe you can extend the amount of time that you use this method for. So active participation is gonna have many benefits. The first one is, it's gonna improve your listening ability because you're having to pay attention in real time, and then you're having to give a response which really stresses and tests your memory. It tests your summarizing ability. It tests your natural communication skills and your conversational ability to come up with something that you want to say in that specific moment. Okay, so it's hard, it's stressful, but it's going to be really, really useful for you, I think, as a language learner, and it's really going to push you out of your comfort zone, which is exactly where you're going to start to grow, and your listening skills are going to develop and your speaking skills are going to develop. Okay, if you want to use a progression, I would recommend the following. So the first progression that you can use is to extend the amount of time in until you have to interject. So I mentioned 2 minutes, okay? But if that's a little too difficult for you, then I would recommend to extend it to 3 minutes or 4 minutes. So it just gives you a little bit more time to capture the key pieces of information, to really try and follow along and pay attention. If you notice that the speaker in the podcast just has a really fast pace and you're really not catching a lot of it, then that's good. Okay, you want to be stressing yourself so you don't. This is the point of this exercise. It's the reason why it's so valuable. It's the reason why it's a transitional exercise that helps you to progress to that next level, because it's targeting your weakness, and your weakness is your ability to listen and then to summarize and to catch up in the conversation. You know, to get, how can you participate in a conversation if you're not catching up and understanding everything that's being said? So you really need to make sure that you're implementing this in a way that's stressing yourself. But as I said, if it's too hard, you're catching nothing, then it means it's too hard. But you should be catching at least, 20 to 30% of what this person is saying. Capture those key points. And then over time, you're going to start to be catching 40%, 50%, 60%, and so on and so forth. And that is how you're going to progress and develop. Can you imagine turning on that video in your target language, which is English, and you can just understand it all without subtitles? Can you imagine that just for one moment? I know it sounds like a dream. It sounds like something that's unachievable, is unattainable, and you're never going to get that in your life. But no, the reality is, yes, you will. And it just requires you to take a step back, look at your language learning process, and figure out the roadmap. How can you really get to that higher level, to that higher point? If you are doing the same things again and again. We use a term in English, which is you are just spinning your wheels. It means you are doing the same exercises again, but you're not getting any reward back because you've already surpassed that level. You've already got the benefits from that type of practice, but then you need to move on to more advanced methods. Do you think if someone is a great sports player, they are doing the same exercises that they were doing at the beginner or intermediate level? No, they're focusing on the advanced methods for the very specific elements that are going to help them get the most reward to increase their margins of success by just even 1%. But the good news is, when you first do this exercise, you're going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to be horrible. It's going to be terrible. But that's amazing because you will have a baseline. So now you can always remember, when I first did the active participation exercise, I sucked. And it was really hard and it was really terrible. And then 3 months later, you're going to reflect and you're going to say, wow, I can now understand a lot without subtitles. Maybe you've increased and extended your time you do this exercise from 10 minutes to 15 minutes to 20 minutes. Maybe when you interject, you don't wait for 2 minutes now. You wait for 1 minute. Maybe you wait for 30 seconds. Maybe you can interject within 10 seconds, which would mean that you've understood the full sentence that's been said, or let's say it's like 4 points that have been said within that 10 seconds. You can now interject and chime in. So it's a really good baseline to check where you're at, and then to try this exercise over the next 3 months to really see how you develop and how you progress. I use it myself. I think it's going to be a cornerstone in my learning and in my development. It's something that I'm going to spend at least 20 to 30 minutes a day doing. I'm going to release my weekly hours that I spend learning Spanish in a post each week on Sunday, so you can check that out too. And then you can comment below and say how many hours you're putting in a week, or whether you've used the active participation exercise before in your own learning, and tell me if you've seen some results and you feel like you're developing a lot and it's working out really well. Okay, so it's time to drop the subtitles, guys. I'm sorry to tell you that, but someone has to deliver the bad news. It just happens to be me. So drop the subtitles, start using active video participation, and I hope you found this video, guys, useful, and I'll see you all on the next one. Bye.